All right, my man. We got your 2 video clips here synced up to the moment of release. And we are going to let you watch it a couple times. And then we will discuss the note that was provided at the beginning of your chapter here. All right. So the note I got is just making sure we maintain consistency in that stride direction. And what I mean by that is you are a guy who's a pretty aggressive across your body stride. All right, the stride's going pretty extreme across your body. Ain't nothing wrong with that, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, okay? You're adding tremendous deceptiveness for the batter to try to pick you up, and you're going to be able to get a lot of pros out of this type of approach. Could it maybe be a little too much? Maybe. But if it's working for you now, let it keep working for you. What I want just for you to know is you are a big body dude already. Like, you're a big guy. And if you're anything like me, you probably sweat a lot as well in the summer games in the 4th, 5th, 6th inning. When we start to fatigue out, the first thing that usually goes is our lower body. And with a guy that throws across his body, it could potentially turn into, as you get tired, becoming more and more and more across your body. So we just want to kind of be aware after those first couple innings go by and that adrenaline of being in the game kind of goes away, and now you're just trying to be in cruise control, and then you start to hit those later innings and fatigue starts to set in. Now you're trying to push through that and work a little bit harder to do your stuff. But we just kind of note, where are those cleat marks going? Where have they been going? And then during this inning, are they still in that general area? Because that could be something that could explain misses later in the game that you weren't having earlier in the game. And it's just because of that variation of where this foot's getting down and that direction that your body is aligned with versus where it's got to rotate everything to. Because everything you're doing in your delivery that I'm seeing in these 2 clips and what I saw in the limited pitches that you threw for us, we're looking very nice. We got this good high aggressive leg lift. We're able to sit into our backside to keep our weight from wanting to fall forward. We got this leg that's staying closed for us. We got a good arm extension with the glove that's having a lane that we can travel in that's going to help keep our upper body from wanting to open early. Once it is time for that glove to start making its way in, it's doing a great job getting inside of our body versus getting outside. We get that chin looking over our shoulders right towards that target. We got very good scapular range of motion. The arms loaded where we want it to be loaded, when we want it to be loaded, which is when this front foot gets in the ground. Because once that foot gets in the ground, boy, here we come. Lower body's in a good position of firing its energy. And then everything's coming through. We don't have a huge tilt like one could expect in their upper body if they weren't supposed to be striding across their body. Right? Like an artificial, like if you had me stride across my body, I'm probably going to be tilting like a son of a gun to try to make it happen. But your body does not have much angle at all. We can even compare you in that delivery with Coach pretty easily, actually. So here's Coach back in his minor league days. We kind of just get him and we'll let you start rolling. Oops, I didn't stop you in time. Put that foot down, bam. Put coach's foot down as best we can. Bam. I mean, boy, your guys' cross-body strides, pretty darn similar. Scapular range of motion, pretty darn similar. Glove discipline, pretty darn similar. And then coach getting to release, you getting to release. I mean, boy, very, very similar. Take you through release a little bit to there. Same for coach. Coach stacking up. And then you stacking up. So things are looking good, dude. And really the only mechanical thing I have for you is really only going to apply when you get deeper into games and fatigue sets in. So that's just more of a mental checkpoint in between like the 4th and 5th inning. Just kind of check yourself before or as you're walking out onto that field to take those warm-up pitches. Like, hey, let's just see where my foot's been, see where my foot's at after these first 5 warmies. If they're good, I don't even got to think about it. And then next inning you go out, same thing. Let's check where my foot's been. Let's see where these 5 warm-up pitches take me. And then maybe you notice, hey, it is a little bit more across my body. So then you just have yourself be, hey, it's a little bit more to the target, or whatever it may be, to help you mentally make that quick adjustment. All right, Mr. Austin, we got your 2 clips here synced up to the point of release. I apologize for the background noise. I got laundry running right now, so if it's a little loud, I apologize. We'll let you watch this a couple times, and then we will discuss that note that was provided at the beginning of your chapter here. So that note that I gave you is really nothing mechanical. Shit. Sorry. Let me get my marker out here. And it's really just get stronger in the weight room and start gaining that weight, making it an effort, an everyday constant thought process of what am I putting in my body to eat that's going to fuel my muscles for strength development and just overall mass. Because everything that you do in your delivery, dude, is pretty darn good. I mean, we got this good leg lift on a slight angle back that's going to help promote us to want to stay closed with this front side so it doesn't want to open early on us. We got good, clean hand separation with the glove working through a path that we can stay closed with versus wanting to swoop open aggressively early or quickly, which would then fly that front shoulder out. See a good job of holding this tension in our back foot, our back leg here. Excuse me. With the pitching rubber, so that way, right before a foot strike occurs, we can fire our rotational movements towards the target, as we see here, with both that front leg and back leg firing towards the target for us, giving us a nice stable lower half to violently rotate our upper half through with, creating that good upper lower half separation with our shoulders and our hips. We do a good job of then getting that out in front as we get to release. Do a great job of that glove finishing and those eyes and head staying right on our target. and allowing the freedom for the hips to decelerate for as long as they need to. So really, if we can just start to get stronger in the weight room, and we can start to gain weight, that's only going to help these very clean mechanics that you have continue to deliver more and more power for you. I made my biggest velo jump of about 5-6 miles an hour in the course of just 6 months, when I went from like 185 pounds to 210, 205. For me, that didn't happen until I was basically almost 21. So everyone's growth like that, I know, happens at different rates. But I obviously could have been eating and lifting a lot better from your age to college, instead of waiting until I got to college to start doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, dude, coach is going to have a lot of fun working with you, because it's just going to be pretty much how can we maximize power, and then how can we make your pitches move more, move later, be more deceptive. Because everything I'm seeing is really, really good here. All the other guys are going to get some big league comparison just to help them drive home the point of their mechanics. We don't really need any of that for you, but just for fun, we can pull coach up here, his front view, and we'll compare that with your front view. Oops. And I'm going to have to work coach a little slower, though, because I don't got him in slow motion. But we can see you two guys almost matching, mirroring equals. Coming out, we get you. Coming out again, we got almost identical looks here. Coach may have a little bit more scapular range of motion back here than you. But everything else with these mechanics of you guys coming through, getting out in front, you got that good glove, heads on target, right? We see coach then comes through that release nice and violently, just like you do as well, bringing that trunk out and through, where we can start to see that nameplate on the backside. And then coach's good hip finish, just like your good hip finish. So, we're looking good, dude. Keep it up. Keep doing your thing. And like I said, coach is going to have a lot of fun working with you this winter. All right, Mr. Adler, you got your two clips here synced up to the moment that ball comes out of your hand. We'll let you watch it a couple times here before we revisit that note that was provided at the beginning of your chapter. And I do apologize if the background's a little loud. I got laundry going right now in my apartment, so sorry for that. All right, and that note that we provided you, we have two of them. Just one of them I have is stay taller for a little longer. All right, and what that means is referring to your back leg. As we lift this nice high, slightly angled leg lift back, we're going to notice that this back knee bends a lot, very quickly, and because it kind of bends very quickly, so does your upper body. You kind of are like collapsing or hunching down. And if we watch the front view video, it might be a little bit easier to see, where we already kind of start with this little hunch, which is okay. And then as we lift this leg up, that hunch kind of, just that little bit of coming down, and now we're in this heavy angle here. which again is not a problem if we're going to hold that angle and then probably be a low slot guy. But what we're going to notice with you is that angle is going to pop back up for us to throw. So is this necessarily a movement that's helping us throw strikes, throw hard, and keep our arm healthy and safe? In my opinion, probably not. What we would instead want to think about is just staying taller for longer, right? We're still going to want to feel like we get a little bit of that, right? But like as like the hands are separating, maybe we'll feel a little bit of that. But we feel it, we start with it, and then we get it, and then it's even more, and then it's just all coming up out of it after. So I think if we could start taller maybe, that could help us stay taller longer. We could also think about trying to maintain this, wrong two buttons. Maintain this bend in your knee for a little bit longer before you allow yourself to sink deeper down. But we'll kind of see that bend very quickly is going to go boom, 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 boom. And all the meanwhile, your head hasn't really gained any ground. Your body's not really going forward at all. You're just sitting down, leaning back, and now we're just going to have to be forced to kind of push ourselves forward rather than being able to use the momentum of going down this mound, the momentum of having a nice high leg lift, and then just like getting that momentum, catching that momentum, and firing that momentum. Right now, we're having to use a lot of force to do things, and we can even tell that by your facial expression, right? Like during this part of hand separation, we should be like the most relaxed we could possibly be during our delivery. But we can see your facial expression is showing like you're getting tight and tense, right? Here's your mouth open, and then it's, you're already just gearing up because you know right here you're going to have to use so much of your power and your energy just to get going. And now you got less in the tank to throw with. Damn, it's about to get kind of loud. I'm sorry, man. Let me do this. Let me go to my bedroom. Maybe it's a little better. Okay. I don't know if it is or not. I can't tell. All right. So stay taller for a little longer. All right. And like I said, it's going to help us flow down the mound and generate energy in our delivery. So if I got a big leaguer for us to kind of look at, where's my side view ones? Here they are. And another side. Okay. So it's going to play fast, and then it'll go slow next. But if we just kind of watch from the top of this leg lift, how there's just kind of that body drifting forward. We'll get another guy. So as his knee is bending, his body is going forward versus just down. And he's getting that momentum of body forward while he's sitting down. Devin Williams is a guy who's not going to be sitting as much because he's all about go, 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 go. But it just helps reinforce that thought of our body wanting to catch that momentum going forward. When it's all said and done, this guy will be having GOAT thrown around his name. A good illustration as well of catching that momentum and being able to work down that mound versus having just to work out that mound. Which then would lead us to our second note, which is you get your front leg to lock out as you're throwing, but then you lose that firmness on that front side. And that's why your finish, you kind of buckle and have your energy kind of fall forward versus being able to continue to finish it through rotation. So we'll pause it when we get the foot strike. Bam. That was a little premature. There we go. So we kind of draw that angle on that front leg. Like I said, you do a good job of getting here with it to help your upper body catapult out in front. We just want to think about maintaining this firmness in this leg here, so that way your body can rotate around it. As soon as this knee buckles or gets almost back to the bend that it originally had, that's going to send your whole body this way and stop you from being able to continue to finish this way. So if we watch that, and here comes that buckling of that knee, and your hips want to go this way, but because that knee is buckling, it's going to kind of send you forward as you're doing that. So if you don't want to have to like always be catching yourself so hard over here, putting yourself susceptible to bunts getting put down third base line, or just being able to field your position on the third base side of the field, or just comebackers back up the middle as well, that's going to be how we do that. Is just having this front leg that you already do a fantastic job of getting locked out and being firm, just maintaining that. And a lot of it's just going to be strength, right? Because I mean, you have a lot of power that's coming through with this throw. You got a lot of energy coming through with this throw. So it's going to take a lot of strength to be able to stabilize it. Some hamstring flexibility could also be playing into that as well. If we're tight in the hamstrings, it's going to be tough for us to continue to want to get this upper body down, 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 and around, round, 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 round on a firm leg that's stretching that hamstring as we're doing it. Because everything else that you're doing in your delivery, dude, is good. Leg lift's good. Staying closed is good. Your glove path is great. Your glove finish is good. Your arm gets to a position on time, meaning when the front foot gets in the ground, your arm's ready and loaded to throw. We can't even see it because it's loaded back behind your head. The only thing that could be technically considered better would be if we had more scapular range of motion and that arm was starting to get seen from back there. Some examples of what that would look like. This is Reggie Crawford, former either first rounder or like a comp pick guy from UConn. He's like 100+ mile an hour guy, but we can see here what I mean by that larger scapular range of motion, right? So as his front leg is getting into the ground, bam, right there, his arm's there, right? Everything else with you guys looks very similar. His front leg might be a little bit more rotated at the moment of foot strike. Oh, actually, sorry, you weren't even in there yet. Yeah. I mean, you guys are pretty darn similar in terms of that versus that. I mean, so that's what I mean by scapular range of motion. Who else might demonstrate that? Jerry Jones of the Pirates. So yeah, there's that foot getting down, and even with this camera angle being on the righty batter's box side of the backstop, we can kind of see that scapular. So, and that's just not something we need to be trying to force, but I mean, it's definitely something we can train to get the scaps stronger, to get the scaps to learn how to move more and stuff like that. But there's obviously some biological limitations there. Like if your skeletal system is just designed a certain way or fused a certain way, like some guys just don't have as much range of motion through that kind of stuff. So that's nothing really too important. Especially when we can be squeezing power out of this aspect right here of staying taller for a little longer. I think that should be the biggest focus for you, is just learning how to flow down that mountain versus this big drop and then try to just labor yourself out there. All right, next we're going to work on being balanced on that front leg, having good stability as our body gets out in front of the leg. Just like it would be when we get to release in our follow through and our finish, we are in front of this leg. So we want to work on the strength, the balance, the stability of getting out here and being able to be balanced. Okay? So we're gonna have 3 different objects here of varying heights. The shortest one closest to me, and the higher one furthest from me. Everyone's gonna have a little different height based on your flexibility. All I'm gonna be doing is gonna be on that stride leg. Bam. Working good knee posture, no bending of this leg, having a good arched lower back as we do this so our back can stay stiff and not be loose and go down hunched. And now we're just going to go down, touch, and come back up. Now you're going to the next one. Down, touch, come back up. And then the third one. Touch, and come back up. And then we got 2 med ball tosses that we can do that can be a little bit more of aggressive, explosive movements, but still working on that front leg, being nice and firm as we get to and through our rotation. Here's that second one, more of an overhead toss. But again, continuing to work on being firm on that front leg all the way through release and through that finish. And then this drill here has got 3 stages. Stage 1's on the left, 2's in the middle, 3's on the right. Stage 1, you're just getting comfortable, allowing that body to get its momentum going into the wall, and then just pushing yourself back out once that elbow hits. Stage 2 in the middle, start incorporating the leg lift. So I like to get my offhand up to the spot where my knee is going to reach its peak distance. So that way I can feel that knee touching my hand at the same time that I'm feeling that elbow getting into the wall. I don't want to feel the knee hitting my hand and then start to have my body get going forward. Once you get comfortable with stage 2, you can go to stage 3 where we get a lot closer to the wall. And now it's the leg comes up as the body gets that drifting effect going into the wall. Learning how to trust your body, being able to lift the leg up as that body starts to go forward. Learning how to capture momentum. All right, Walker Bueller's cousin. We got your videos up here, synced up to the moment of release. Dang, I did not do a good job of sliding that one over. That's my fault. The side view should have been over a little bit more. We'll play that again for you. And then we will discuss that note that we had at the beginning of your chapter. Again, it's my fault for not having that release in frame there. We got 2 things for you. Get stacked and strong back leg. So get stacked, what that's going to look like is after our front foot gets into the ground and we come through to throw, we have this energy, not just rotational, but it's going out in front or in a downward kind of movement. So bam, from here, and then we get to release and we're out here. This force driving down, in addition to the shoulders rotating around, we want to, at this point in time, after release, we want to start climbing the chest back up. We come through to throw, bam, we come down, and then we want to think of stacking ourselves back up above that front foot. And what we can kind of notice, the reason your body kind of keeps wanting to go forward in this front view's particular pitch is because that stacking of the chest did not occur or occur enough or on time. In this side view clip, after we slam things down, we can see this working to get back upright. And that's the reason we have that better finish. So something to be thinking about is like that lower back of yours. If you kind of like really arch your back, you can kind of feel those muscles lying right up against your spine there. You want to think about when you come down, kind of using those muscles to get you back up. That's how I used to think about it when I was around your age and having to work on something rather similar of learning how to use my trunk down, but more importantly, be able to stack myself back up. So I got a couple good drills for that helped me that I bet can also help a fellow animal last name get better at as well. The other note that I have for you is just a strong back leg. And what I mean by that is we'll kind of just watch that back leg of yours here. And what we're going to kind of notice, and we can use the front view as well for this maybe. What we're going to notice with this back knee, yeah, we need to bend the back knee to load our backside to use all that power. But what we're going to kind of notice is the knee goes almost more this way or towards us in the beginning, which makes it a little bit harder to control that knee because now that knee is going to kind of just want to fall inward. And then now we're doing a lot more of kind of like extending. We're kind of just like reaching a little bit in this part here. When we're really trying to rotate, we end up with just a little bit of an extension. And it's not the biggest thing, but we can even just being able to kind of see your knee over here kind of illustrates just how much like loading into like that quad or the knee you are versus maybe more loading into that glute or that butt of that right leg of yours. As I mentioned here, it could potentially help us with our power production. Not a guaranteed. It may be something that your body is just designed and works better this way. But it could be something to note and potentially work on to see if that can help spike some power for us, because there's a lot of things that you do real well in this delivery. You got this big old arm swoop to kind of help synchronize this longer arm path that you got. Something like this can also be deceptive to the batter. Like, holy smokes, look at this huge ass arm coming at me way over here, and then bam, here comes that hand right behind it almost. You got good glove finish, right? Guys that have this big, huge, like swoop out tend to usually swoop it all the way over here and get outside of themselves. And that then obviously would open the shoulder early, start leaking our power, start to add unnecessary stress throughout our arm. But you are very disciplined with that glove, knowing exactly where it needs to get to, so that way your chin stays over your shoulder, right down that lane. That front leg does a great job of getting itself rotated and into the ground on time. Arms in a good loaded position, ready to fire. Like we already mentioned, the body does a good job getting out in front, head maintaining its direction towards that target. A lot of things you do well in here. If we use a couple big league examples to drive home the stacking and the back leg staying strong, we'll pull up some of these big leaguers here. I think probably the best example that we're going to have. Do I have any other side ones? It's the front. Okay. So we got these four right here. Everything else is front. Yep. Okay. Oops. So we got Spencer Strider, and we can kind of just see that stacking, that chest going down, and then boom, trying to bring that sucker right back up. We can also use Strider here as another example of this back leg just kind of staying a little bit stronger, where it's not just kind of falling inward so quickly. So that way there's a lot more rotational energy and power coming from it. But again, not everybody is that way, right? So you can just highlight a couple other guys that have been doing it for a long time. Granted, this dude just can't stay healthy. Although I did hear a rumor, I don't know if it's true or how long ago I heard it. It was a while ago, if it still is true. Coach Anthony may even know more insight if this is true or if this is just a bogus rumor that went around through a lot of clubhouses, that this dude does not lift weights at all. Like zero weights. I mean, his legs look like it. His legs look like my legs right now, and I haven't lifted legs in a decade. But a freak nonetheless. So we can see again how that chest really getting out in front for DeGrom, and then being able to pull that thing back up. So that way he's nice and under control. We can also use this as a way to show that back knee staying strong, that backside. So that way it's a lot of rotation. And who else do we have? Another guy's been around for a long time doing it. We'll be able to see both the back leg example and the trunk getting stacked example here. Right, so this one right here looks very much like your side view. Where in the world are you at now? There we are. Looks a lot like your side view, but just as the front view pitch was the one where we just weren't stacking on time or at all, and therefore the reason we weren't able to have that good finish. Another thing we can do, because you and Cole have that back leg coming off the ground as you're rotating through. So we'll illustrate that for a second. That's something that's rather unique to not everybody. Man, I got so many darn screens up here. So you can see how your back foot is there. I don't know if Cole's is that early, but I do know it's occurring. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys both have that. Back when I first started training guys, I used to try to train that out and have you stay connected to the ground and just keep rotating more. But over the years, I have learned to keep my mouth shut and just let you do your thing. So, boom. Boom. Right, so I didn't mention it, but we could be firmer on that front leg. So, I mean, I guess that could be something else that if you and coach want to work on, it's going to help with power production as well. It's also going to help make it easier for that stacking effect that we have already mentioned to occur. But all in all, dude, a lot of good stuff you got going on here. I'm sure coach is just as excited to see where you can get to as I am. All right, next we're going to work on being balanced on that front leg, having good stability as our body gets out in front of the leg. Just like it would be when we get to release in our follow through and our finish, we are in front of this leg. So we want to work on the strength, the balance, the stability of getting out here and being able to be balanced. Okay, so we're going to have 3 different objects here of varying heights. The shortest one closest to me and the higher one furthest from me. Everyone's going to have a little different height based on your flexibility. All I'm going to be doing is going to be on that stride leg. Bam. Working good knee posture. No bending of this leg. Having a good arched lower back as we do this so our back can stay stiff and not be loose and go down hunched. And now we're just going to go down, touch, and come back up. Now you're going to the next one. Down, touch, come back up. And then the third one. Touch, and come back up. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up. All right, we got your 2 clips synced up here. To the moment of release, we will let you watch it twice, and then we will discuss in detail the note that was provided at the beginning of your video, and then we'll use some big league examples to help illustrate what we're talking about, and then we'll provide you with some drills that you can start to do to start to feel those differences and to get some confidence in what we're trying to accomplish. So the only thing I really have for you is our arm path, and we're just looking to get you some rhythm in it. So if we just really focus on this side view video to start, this part here of when our hands are starting to come apart, we call it hand separation. So as your hands are separating, we can say that your hand, your throwing hand, is just kind of pulling itself backwards or away from my body towards second base. So here's the ball is out, and we can kind of just track that it's kind of just going down a little bit and backwards a little bit. All while, if we then take it back to this first dot, and we just kind of see that your body is wanting to start to go forward while your arm is wanting to go backwards. So then we can see from there, your arm's not going to go backwards any longer, and it's going to start to come straight to that loaded throwing position, which a lot of guys have a short, compact arm stroke to get to loaded to then come compact to release. However, most of those guys are not doing this with their glove. You got a real big, extended, long glove path and a tremendously compact arm path. Not saying we have to be opposite and equal by any means, but these aren't going to really blend a whole lot together because, boom, now we're coming right into this. We've had to like almost pull this down, and it's really something I have not seen before. And I just don't think this is going to help flow this arm path, this arm stroke the way it can really be designed to fire. If I pull up some very specific guys for you, I gotta get something different. So bear with me for a moment. Hopefully I edit this out. If not, my bad. So let's get Dylan. Let's get... Oh, we just left my head. Who was I thinking of? Giolito, yeah. Lucas. I don't know how to spell Luke. Do I not have Giolito? Oh, come on. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, dang. All right, well, we can do Dylan Cease for right now until someone else pops in my head. Okay. All right, so if we just watch Dylan Cease, he's going to be really short as well with his arm stroke. But as you can see, his glove path is also super short. I just thought of someone else. I don't know. I'm going the wrong way. Trevor Bauer is another guy. Obviously, he's all but banned from the league. It's another guy who's going to have a real short arm stroke, but isn't going to have that glove getting super high up over his head or away from his body. The length that he's getting is like straight to the target. If I got some front views of him. All right, so yeah, his arm's going to get extended, but it's going to be right at us in this view here. Straight to us, so that way I can come this way versus pulling down. Shit, who else is super compact? If I don't edit this out and coach is looking at my list here, he's probably like, you idiot, you passed 3 of them already. Oh, here, nope. Idiot. I know I got a bunch. I just can't. Nope. I thought for a second, maybe. Yeah, okay. Bam! You're not going to have a clue who this guy is. But another guy with that shorter, compact arm and just a vastly different glove than yours. Like I said, I don't think I've ever come across someone that's got your arm stroke and your arm glove path. So I think if we can just think about keeping it shorter, not letting this extend. If we want to get up with it still, we can certainly do that. I mean, look, Dylan Cease is doing that. His elbow's getting, up on an angle. We can even see it with the good alternative Sox uniforms that they got. He's angled up with it. So we can still get your angle that you're wanting to get. Like, we can almost fit you in that angle. We can still get that. But we don't necessarily need to get it from being here where it doesn't really match the flow of your upper body, I don't think. Because now we just got a whole lot of pulling down on this front side. And our arm is not like loaded high to pull things down. We're more of just like I don't know, man. This is you're a tricky guy because we're kind of low and still angled here, which then forces us up. And then now, is this your actual arm slot, or should your arm slot be a little bit lower and it's just up here because you had to launch up more than maybe we needed to? So everything else, like with your lower half, is dope. I mean, it has a lot of good stuff there. The finish is good. Your eyes stay quiet. You're not opening up with the front side. Like, this isn't leaking. I just think if we can find a way to get this and this in rhythm with one another, we're going to be a lot smoother of an athlete up there. We can use this drill here for a multitude of things. One, we can use this for helping us get some extension in our glove. If our hand separation, our glove path is super short and condensed, we can use this drill to help us lengthen that out. We can also use this drill to help us with our arm path. If we got a long, loopy arm, we can use this to help load that arm up and keep our arm compact. All right, my man. We got your 2 videos synced up here to when that ball's coming out at release. We'll let you watch it twice here, and then we will discuss the note that was provided to you at the beginning of your chapter. All right, and that note that we gave you was lower half timing. So what I mean by lower half timing is the movements that our lower half does and when we are completing them. And one of the big things that we want to have happen in our delivery is as this front foot gets in the ground, our lower body is now telling our upper body it's time to throw. So we're wanting to have our lower half do some movements by this point in time. And one of those big movements is getting our backside leg here to fire forward for us. And what happens when that occurs is our hips get rotated, which means like our belt buckle will start going towards that target. And that's going to help rotate our lower half better. And when we rotate our lower half better and we have an upper body that does not rotate, we create tension in our body. Kind of just like we see the ripples in the shirt here, we're creating that tension throughout our body as well. And when we're able to get the hips and the knees and the feet to all get rotated and turned towards our target, while the upper body continues to stay back like this, that tension becomes even greater. And with more tension like that, we get to have that rubber band-like effect or that whip effect, right? We're getting that power to make its way up, and then ultimately, bam, out. So what we're going to watch after this point in time that foot gets down, and now it's the upper body's turn to rotate forward, we're going to see a lot of that rotation occur from the foot, knee, and hip. And what we can see is almost at the same time that this back shoulder is wanting to rotate is when all of this stuff is also rotating. So now we have a lot more of our entire body rotating at the same time versus that upper body rotating. And that is the reason you have this big foot coming off the ground early, which is not an issue, but we can see the energy of this foot coming off the ground is going this way and not to our target this way. So that's why it kicks almost like the back of your calf and then whips around this way, where you're almost like kicking a soccer ball right there. And that's because we're not getting the lower half to rotate on time. It's doing all of its rotation way too late, and it just becomes this like kick out effect. So you can see that your back foot isn't getting things going forward. It's just kind of gliding and sliding as if you're on ice behind you that way. And then it just keeps going that way until, like I said, it basically either smacks up against your calf or the tendons in the outside of your knee say, can't go that way no more. We got to whip it back this way. So that's what I mean by lower half timing. So if we get some big league examples for you, and again, we'll just kind of pause you at this moment that front foot gets in the ground. And we'll get some of these side views up. Who else we got? Okay. So we'll start with the Coltrane. And we'll do the same thing. We'll pause him at foot strike when that front foot gets into the ground. Right there. And we can just see how much more rotation is occurring in these sections of that back leg and just how much more that gets that belt buckle out in front. Right? What we're also going to notice with Cole is that his back foot's going to come off the ground like yours, but it's not going to go behind him. It's going to be going forward. And it's because he was rotating his backside on time. And we can see that back knee and that back foot, and then that ultimately that back hip getting pushed forward. You can go to Spencer Strider. You can see the same thing. This was obviously pre-TJ Strider since he was out all this last season. We can see that as well in Dylan Cease. That backside getting rotated before that front foot gets into the ground, creating as much of that tension through this body here. So that way energy is flowing up. It just got sent this way, and now it's going to get shot up into the upper body, out in front, and then bam, down through release. Like Coach was saying at Thursday's practice, that kinetic chain is exactly what that looks like right there. Who else we got? We got Jacob deGrom, who some of you guys may not even know since he pitches about a quarter of a season every 2 years. But boy, when he does, is he something special to watch. So again, we'll pause him at foot strike. Bam. That's a little late on that. Right there. We can see that backside is fired, and ultimately been driven forward. There's that belt buckle, creating all that tension by staying back. And then it's just that rubber band. It's pulled tight, and then just let go of it. Boom. So we'll have a couple drills for you to help get this backside learning how it's moving and getting you to move forward versus just kind of that weird spin out. All right, we're going to be working on getting our backside leg rotated and driven forward, not just spinning in place. So we can just be sitting on a bench, in a chair, anywhere we can have our hands on either side of it to keep our upper body squared and stable. And we're just going to be driving through that big toe, which means we're folding over that big toe to get the foot forward versus spinning in place where the knee stays in place. We need to drive the foot forward to get the knee to go forward. versus spinning in place and the knee not going forward. So we can just sit on that bench, on that chair, and just work and practice this movement here of folding over that big toe, driving your foot forward, getting your heel to be in front of your toe at the end. All right, Mr. Parrott, we got your 2 video clips here synced up to the moment of release. We'll let you watch it 2 times through. Let you kind of think about the note that was provided at the beginning of the chapter compared to what you're seeing, and then we'll go more in depth with that, using some big league examples to help see what we're talking about, and then we'll get you some drills to help you work on the things that we want to start to improve upon. And that note that we had is just rotate my backside forward. And that's just going to help you generate a little bit more power. And what I mean by rotate that backside forward is when we get to about right, bam, here is the point in time where our body can't stay back any longer. And we're going to have to start firing these forward. And this is going to start to want to rotate as well, because we are very close to this foot hitting the ground. And once that foot hits the ground, bam, upper body is coming. So if we kind of just specifically watch this back foot here, we're going to see kind of like this heel just kind of like lift up. And if I shift your attention to the front view, we can kind of see that as well, with that heel kind of just going straight up. And now we're going to try to rotate forward. But because we've been going up, 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 up on the heel, by the time we can rotate forward, we're not going to be able to, because that front foot's already in the ground. That's like a brake, right? I can't drive my car no matter how far I put that pedal to the metal. If I got it in park, car's not going anywhere, right? And that foot getting in the ground is no longer allowing our lower body to go forward anymore. So now instead, this back foot is going to kind of just like spin in place, almost like you're putting out a cigarette, which is an analogy that, like, back when I was growing up, they talk about like hitting, like squash the bug, or squash the bug, or put out the cigarette. So like that's why I sucked at hitting, because this is how my back foot was working when I was trying to hit. And what we can see is when that back foot is really doing a lot of its twisting or spinning, is at the same time that your upper body is also rotating. So we got our lower half is really rotating at the same time that our upper half is rotating, and that just kind of minimizes some of that kinetic chain fluidity that we can whip out at the end. So if I bring some big leaguers out here at around the same time that you are, from this side view perspective, all right, and then we'll just go one at a time with them. It'll be a regular speed video. Oh, actually, this one's jacked up for some reason, so I'll just get it. Bam. We can kind of see how his back heel stays connected to the ground really long. And that then allows him, when the knee starts to rotate, the foot just wants to go forward with it as well. Where we got now like this angle of the foot going forward the same way. Not saying that this is supposed to match, but it's just like the same angle that they're going to get out in front. We got Jacob deGrom that we can do the same thing with. So we'll do the Grom and U like this. And we just watch the back sides as we kind of progress. That heel staying connected versus your heel lifting. And then now this is foot strike in this foot's position. We'll take the Grom to his foot strike, bam, and then his back foot position. So we can just see how this is really showing signs of the backside leg driving the body forward versus just kind of spinning it and then not really getting a whole lot of distance down the mound or away from the pitching rubber. If we then get to our next guy, Spencer Strider, and we let you work the same kind of way, we'll see that same thing as his heel tries to stay in the ground longer, so that way when things do rotate, yeah, the heel comes up, but it's coming up as things are getting rotated forward. So we then get Strider, we can see his foot's getting, bam, into foot strike right there, and again, we can kind of see just that angle of that back leg being there versus you're elevated there. And it's just, again, because he's able to rotate that lower body forward, which is going to help that upper body go forward, which is going to help send that power and that throw forward. We'll go one last time with the guy that's got a completely different upper half than everybody else that we've shown, but we will still see the same exact thing where that back heel is trying to fight to stay on the ground for as long as possible. As that lower half rotates, bam, into the ground. And we see again that direction showing that things are going forward versus getting elevated. So that's what I mean when I give the note of thinking about rotating your backside forward, the backside leg forward. That's just going to help you generate some more power. So we'll let you watch it one more time here, and then I'll get you a drill that'll be helpful for your body to feel a very over-exaggerated way of rotating your back leg forward. And what I like to do with training drills is find a drill that we can over-exaggerate to fix an issue. So you over-exaggerate it, over-exaggerate it, over-exaggerate it, to get yourself thrown into the fire. It's never going to be over-exaggerated anymore, but at least it's going to be higher and better than baseline. All right, we're going to be working on getting our backside leg rotated and driven forward, not just spinning in place. So we can just be sitting on a bench, in a chair, anywhere we can have our hands on either side of it to keep our upper body squared and stable. And we're just going to be driving through that big toe, which means we're folding over that big toe to get the foot forward versus spinning in place where the knee stays in place. We need to drive the foot forward to get the knee to go forward versus spinning in place and the knee not going forward. So we can just sit on that bench, on that chair, and just work and practice this movement here of folding over that big toe, driving your foot forward, getting your heel to be in front of your toe at the end. All right, my man, we got your two videos here synced up to the moment of release. We'll let you watch it twice, and then we will discuss the note that was provided at the beginning of your video with some big league examples to help really drive home your mechanics. All right. And that note that we gave you is about your arm path and its timing. So what I mean by your arm path and its timing, I'm going to have to wait for your hands to separate. Okay, so from here on out, we'd call this hand separation. Or another thing, if we want to just focus on one, like our glove path, and then like our arm path, or arm stroke, or arm load. Guys call it different things. So we're really just going to focus on the arm path. And we got this nice, relaxed fall out of our glove, hand separation. And then we kind of get this ball to really swing behind us. Really gets into our scaps, right? If we were thinking about our shoulder blades pinching together, and there's that pencil there, those are our scapular muscles. We're really getting into that scap early, which then is going to make it difficult to stay in that scap before that front foot gets down. So what we're going to notice is as this front foot is getting into the ground, this throwing arm, specifically the elbow, is wanting to start to come through. We want to think this foot gets down to the ground, shoulders don't move at all, then we come fire in. Because if we start to rotate the shoulders forward, or we start to allow the arm to come through early, and again, early is referring to time in relation to when this front foot gets into the ground, we're sacrificing power and adding stress onto our arm to make this throw. So if we kind of just really go like frame by frame here, and we see the angle of which your arm is at, right? Your hand is over here, your elbow's over here. So we would say your hand has not quite yet got all the way flipped up prior to it getting laid back into external. So we're going to see as your hand tries to get, instead of your hand, let me rephrase that. Instead of your hand at this point, let me turn sideways as best I can on this couch. You're way back here in this good scap. And instead of your hand loading up and that elbow staying there to keep this whole arm retracted back, instead, your hand doesn't really go up that much. It's more of your elbow coming forward. So if we watch that here, we're going to see this elbow, if I kind of mark it down here, it's going to start to go this way. And now it's gotten the hand above it. And then that wouldn't even be the worst thing. Like if we were here right now with this foot in the ground, we'd be, as you kids say, Gucci. But what we're going to notice is we're just sacrificing a little bit. By the time we do get connection in the ground, this has started to come through a little bit. We can see that elbow peeking through here. And we can really see, especially in your t-shirt, your body is doing all it can not to open up right now. And then we do just get just a little bit of a versus a come forward. And that's kind of why we're pretty vertical at release here. Even our head is popping up vertical in relation to when we got that foot down, right? Like we're here and then release. That ball's already basically out of our hand here. We're not getting that much extension out towards home plate. And it really could all stem from your arm path. Whether it's we're getting so far back here so quickly that we're not able to maintain it. So now every little moment from here on out, as that hand is trying to load up, the elbow's already coming through to want to throw. So I think you're going to want to find some rhythm in this part here where maybe we don't allow the ball in your wrist to go in this orientation, right? So like right now, if I was to think to swoop my hand behind my back, my palm would always be facing, obviously me being left-handed, my chest is at first, my back is at third. If I was thinking a big swoop with my hand, that ball would always face third. So for you being right-handed, obviously that would mean that ball is always facing first, but we can see in the video your hand swoops so fast back that it like turns its orientation, like the whole arm, so now it's facing home. Maybe if we were able to keep that arm more in an internal or a supinated position during hand separation, we would find ourselves still being able to get just as much load back there, but not sacrifice some of that early rotation. So if I get someone very specific for you that's kind of jumping in my head right now, would be a guy like Ben Joyce, who has a very big early arm load. Here we go. And if we just watch Ben Joyce, he's got very quick, very early to get there. So he doesn't go back behind his back as much with the hand as you do, but I'll pull up a front view of him as well. So we can see as his hand is getting higher and higher, the elbow is not rotating forward yet or towards the target. It's still loaded way the hell back there. So I'll keep this there. I'll get you to that same spot with your side view. And we can see again at your moment of that foot getting into the ground, how that elbow's already rotating to come through. We compare that again with Ben Joyce. I don't want to rename it. We can kind of see those differences and just the amount of power we can see that's stored up still in Ben Joyce's upper half compared to what's stored up in your upper half. All right, this thing's way back there. Yours is already starting to come through early. Let me get that front view of Ben Joyce. It's not super clear. It's from his Tennessee days. But if we do that same thing and really slow it down, we can see that his arm is way back here. Just like, let's get you back up. Right, his arm's way back here, similar to yours. I know it's grainy, but we can see that it's not the ball facing us, it's more the ball facing down. And when I say us, I'm meaning this right here, being able to see the baseball. And then we keep taking Ben Joyce into his foot strike, and we can see that big scapular load. Once that foot gets into the ground here, this is still way back here. Yours is way back here in terms of like shoulder to elbow. Yours is way back here right now, but the hand's not flipped up like Ben Joyce's is. By the time your hand flips up, we're going to see, oops, controlling the wrong guy. By the time yours flips up, we're going to see how we lose that retraction, and now it's coming through. And again, if it was here, we'd be fantastic, but that foot's still not in the ground yet. Now we're in the ground, and we can see how we're already starting to rotate through. So we're losing power, and the way at which we're losing power is also adding some stress onto your arm that can be avoided if we just get things on time. So my thing is, I'm thinking we're probably going to want to change something in here with this arm doing this and the alignment or position that it's in as it's doing that. Instead of it having that ball facing home where basically you're shooting a gun basically coming back here, be more here with it. Could be something that helps because then you're not going to be able to get extended as far if the hand's the other way. Or maybe coach has a good idea of how to get this timed up, but we just really need to get the arm path timed up so that way we're not already coming through with it as before we even have a foot in the ground. Because now we're just going to add a lot of stress up through here as we're making this throw now. So I'll get you a drill or two that can help repattern some stuff, or at least help you start to get a little bit more compact and condensed with that. But I'll just also give you some other guys to take a look at real quick before we wrap you up here, and seeing what their arms paths look like and how they get loaded. And that by the time that front foot gets in the ground, those arms are still loaded back there versus coming through already. Again, shoulders haven't begun to rotate. Arm hasn't started to come through yet until after this foot, bam, gets it in the ground. Arms loaded way back here, and then we come on through. We can use this drill here for a multitude of things. One, we can use this for helping us get some extension in our glove. If our hand separation, our glove path is super short and condensed, we can use this drill to help us lengthen that out. We can also use this drill to help us with our arm path. If we got a long, loopy arm, we can use this to help load that arm up and keep our arm compact. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up.